Welcome to Lesson 31. We're going to continue with other rules that are applicable at all pharmacy locations. We'll be covering book pages 169 through 173. Okay, on page 169, you'll see a rule that is the Continuous Quality Improvement, or CQI rule. This is a rule that Florida has, and it's a requirement that all pharmacies have a continuous quality improvement program. And you can see the definition there of what a continuous quality improvement is. It's a system and procedures to identify and evaluate quality-related events and to try to improve patient care. And quality or related event is defined even further, and a quality-related event includes inappropriate dispensing or administration of a prescribed medication, including a variation from the prescriber's order, so basically a medication error, such as incorrect drug strength, wrong dosage form, incorrect patient given the drug, or inadequate directions for use, and so forth. And then it's not just medication errors, but also, if you look at page 170, a failure to identify drug interactions, drug disease contraindications, therapeutic duplications, all those items you're supposed to be looking for as part of your mandatory drug regimen review. So number 3, as I mentioned, every pharmacy, not just community pharmacy, but every pharmacy permit shall have a CQI program that has to be described in a policy and procedure manual. Some of the requirements of that is that the committee must meet at least every 3 months to review quality-related events. There must be a procedure for reviewing these quality-related events, and then it tells you the minimum, what that review should include, and it should be looking at things that, on staffing levels, workflow, technology, and so forth. So what's really key to these CQI programs is that the information that is collected as part of a CQI program has to be protected and has to be confidential. These are sometimes called peer review programs in the medical realm, like hospitals have peer review committees. And the confidentiality is important because what you're doing with these types of committees is you're doing root cause analysis to find out, looking at quality issues. And if something did go wrong and there was a medication error, there could potentially be a lawsuit over that. And we don't want these records to be given to the plaintiff's counsel or the people that are suing, because it's going to discourage pharmacies from doing these types of investigations to try and improve care. So that's why this information has to be treated as confidential and is given statutory protections from being released in a lawsuit or anything like that. The next rule that all pharmacies must comply with is a pharmacy technician policies and training rule. This rule says that all pharmacies must have a technician policy and procedure manual. The rule is very specific and tells you on the top of page 171 all the elements of that pharmacy technician training program. The Florida Board of Pharmacy seems to be real big about policies and procedures. As we go through this course, you'll see lots of places where there's mandated policies and procedures, and it even tells you what has to be in those policies and procedures. Letter H on page 171 says your policy and procedure manual must list all the tasks that can be delegated to technicians and ones that cannot be delegated. And it references that rule, which no longer has that list of tasks that can be delegated. So again, I'm not sure this rule's been updated with when that other rule was changed. So one thing here is that I don't know how much detail they're going to go to on the MPJE, because these rules are very, very detailed. But these rules become important when you're actually in practice, because if you're in charge of putting together the policy and procedure manual, you can't just grab one off the shelf from some other person. It's got to meet the Florida requirements, and you have to make sure you cover all the specific topics that are included by Florida in the Florida rules. Number 2 tells you that you must maintain documentation that each pharmacy technician has taken the course and that they've reviewed the policy and procedure manual. And they have to do that within 90 days of the date that they were hired. So you have to have documentation that they read the policy and procedure manual. And number 3 says you must also have documentation that the pharmacy technicians went through actual training of the tasks that they're going to be asked to perform in their job function. This rule on page 172, it's called prescription area accessible for inspection. It basically just says that your prescription department and your compounding areas have to be made available for inspection by the Department of Health. It also tells you that a new pharmacy is going to be inspected twice during their first year of operation. And then has additional inspection schedules. If you pass your inspections for 3 years without any discipline, then they'll move you to an every 2-year period. And if you fail an inspection or have some type of discipline, then you're going to continue to be inspected on an annual basis. So just read through that. Nothing too difficult to understand in this particular rule. This next rule on page 172, it's entitled Sink and Running Water and Sufficient Space. I just called it, it's the rule about the facility itself and space and library. And I have to tell you, back in the day, a lot of the pharmacy regulations had to do with this type of stuff, and they would specify how big your counter space had to be, and some states still require you, if you're going to remodel your pharmacy, to send your remodeling plans to the State Board of Pharmacy. We've gotten away from a lot of the very much details on that. So this is what's left still. And that's, you still have to have a sink and water in your pharmacy. They don't specify the square footage of your counter space anymore, but they do say you have to have sufficient walking space and counter space, adequate sanitation, and things like that. And then there's a library requirement as well. A lot of states still have these library requirements, and Florida requirements are that you have a drug reference compendium, such as the USP NF or the USPDI or Remington's or Facts and Comparisons or something like that. You also must have a copy of the laws and rules. These used to have to be books, but now they can be available as readily available electronic formats as well. Okay, so that is it for lesson 31. We will pick up again on lesson 32 on page 173.